Itoki is your typical high school loser. He's the son of a servicewoman who doesn't have any wealth or high status. For some reason, Itoki is always followed by a woman in a mask, Kosetsu. With her bright red eyes, she's been instructed by Itoki's mom to stay by his side and keep him safe. Because of this, Itoki can't have a normal social life like his classmates and spends most of his time studying. One day, his gymnastics instructor offers him a chance to pursue a career in the sport, and Itoki starts to think about it. As usual, Itoki is picked up from school by his uncle, Tokisada. While driving home, he tells his uncle about an accident he was in after leaving school, where he almost got crushed to death but managed to escape. Soon after getting home, his mother, Yumika, arrives. The camera pans around the room, giving a quick look at a photo of Itoki's late father, Hidetoki. While they're preparing dinner, Itoki shares his decision to try gymnastics with his mom, who gives him her blessing and assures him she'll support whatever path he chooses as long as it leads to a better future. The next day at school, Itoki receives a love letter from a girl named Satomi, which is every boy's dream, and it seems like he's hit the jackpot. When Itoki meets Satomi, she quickly asks him out on a date. This surprises him, but he can't deny such a sweet request from a nice girl. He goes home and tries to hide everything from his mom, but to his surprise, she already knows what happened. He tells her about the date, but she refuses, saying he needs to get to know Satomi better before going out with her. Itoki is frustrated with his mom's response and angrily leaves the dining table. Ignoring her, he sneaks out with the help of his uncle to meet Satomi at the agreed place. He expects them to pick a date spot, but is shocked when Satomi suggests they have the date at her house. He reluctantly agrees, and just like every boy would want, he gets to see the inside of a girl's room. However, being a gentleman, Itoki shyly backs away from any advances from Satomi. Satomi eventually tries to take off her clothes to seduce him, but Itoki resists. He tells her it's too soon for them to do anything crazy since they just met. Itoki thinks Satomi is playing a prank on him and checks under the bed to prove his point, but instead, he finds a pair of red and terrifying eyes staring back at him from beneath the bed. Itoki pulls back, and suddenly Satomi slashes his face with a sharp blade. Other attackers in black emerge from their hiding spots. Just when Itoki is about to be killed, a smoke bomb goes off, and from the smoke appears Kusetsu. She grabs Itoki and throws him out of the room. He lands on a padded surface and is quickly picked up by two of her mother's associates, Reiha and Kozo, who are also dressed in black. They tell Itoki they're taking him to safety, but the car is attacked, causing a crash. Reiha manages to pull Itoki from the car and tells him to run while she and Kozo fight off the attackers. Itoki runs until night falls and is lucky enough to encounter a police officer. As he explains his situation, a blade suddenly slashes the officer's neck. Before he knows it, Itoki is surrounded by several attackers. He is thrown to the ground, his hands tied behind his back, and his mouth gagged. At that moment, Tokisada shows up. The attackers seem afraid just by his presence. Before they realize what's happening, Tokisada reaches Itoki. After confirming his nephew's safety, he switches into battle mode, his combat suit manifesting around him. Tokisada faces off against the attackers. When Itoki wakes up, he finds himself in an unfamiliar place. Tokisada tells him to get out of the car as they've arrived at the family home. Itoki is led inside, where he sees a group of people. To his shock, his mother appears, and all the delegates bow their heads, addressing her as their chief. Before Itoki can panic, his mother tells him to calm down and explains that they are ninjas from Iga village. Itoki struggles to believe this, thinking ninjas are just a fairy tale. However, she clarifies that he's mistaken. Apparently, ninjas maintain world peace, but the Koga village is trying to disrupt that balance. Koga is also after Itoki because he is the heir to lead Iga village. Before he realizes it, his mother offers him the chance to become a ninja. Meanwhile, the acting chief of Koga is rallying an army to attack Iga village, accusing them of being responsible for the death of Koga's former chief, Kishin. Itoki feels confused by everything happening around him. When Tokisada sees that Itoki is struggling to make a decision, he pulls him out of the room to talk. Tokisada tells Itoki he needs to decide about being a ninja, but Itoki thinks he doesn't have to. Just 24 hours ago, he was a regular kid, but now things feel like they're moving too fast. Tokisada then offers him another option. They can run away together until the pressure eases up a bit. Tokisada explains that Itoki's dad was the former chief, and Yumika only became chief because Itoki was too young. But now, Itoki isn't a baby anymore, which means he can take over as chief from his mom. After hearing everything his mom has done to keep their clan and village stable, Itoki decides he won't run away. Meanwhile, Koga village is making its move. The acting chief, Kidu, thinks Iga is weak and believes they will soon take control. The next day, Reiha comes to Itoki's room to tell him about the new school he'll be going to. The regular school is too dangerous, so Itoki will attend a ninja academy. This school is neutral and run by the NSC, the police of the ninja world, who are there to maintain peace. Itoki will need to pass a test in the next 4 days to attend the academy. On the other hand, Ban, one of Koga's top people, is carrying out Koga's plans, even buying small businesses from Iga. Yumika agrees to the deal, believing it will lead to a better life for the factory workers. During dinner with his mom, Itoki tells her how much he respects her for everything she's done. On exam day, Tokisada and Kusetsu take Itoki to the exam location. Kusetsu will also take the exam to help protect Itoki while he's in school. Tokisada soon receives the exam location, and they are shocked to learn it will be at Koga train station. Itoki is worried, but Tokisada reassures him that everything will be fine. As they enter the station, Kusetsu gives Itoki the code word that allows him access to the exam site. Itoki meets with one of the workers, and after saying the code, Itoki and Kusetsu are led to the secret exam location. The instructor arrives and explains that the test is a game of hide and seek. They will be divided into two groups, hiders and seekers. The hider will leave the room first to find a good hiding spot. 1 minute later, the seeker will enter the area to find the hider. The exam lasts 10 minutes. Hiders who aren't found within this time pass the test, and seekers who locate their targets also pass. Kusetsu is the first to take her test. As expected, she quickly finds her target. When it's Itoki's turn, he is the seeker but soon realizes he's in big trouble. His target is none other than Satomi, who is in disguise. Itoki enters the service area, pacing around with no idea of what to do until Kusetsu shows up. She warns him to be careful because Koga ninjas have infiltrated the area, but she and Tokisada are busy dealing with them. Out of nowhere, a projectile is hurled at Itoki, but Kusetsu reacts quickly, taking it down. In the distance, they spot Satomi smiling at them like a maniac. Satomi vanishes, and Kusetsu tells Itoki that the ninjas are using optical camouflage. Kusetsu runs off to let Itoki focus on the exam while she takes out the enemy ninjas. She chases after Satomi, but before she knows it, Satomi leads her into a trap. Kusetsu gets surrounded by several ninjas, giving Satomi the chance to come after the unsuspecting Itoki. Suddenly, an idea pops into Itoki's head on how to stop Satomi. He activates the fire alarm, triggering the sprinklers to douse Satomi's suit and destroy her camouflage. Satomi charges at Itoki, but Kusetsu arrives just in time to push her away. Exam security also shows up to subdue Satomi and take her away. Itoki wants to touch Satomi to wrap up his test, but one of the instructors tells him he's 5 seconds late. Itoki returns to the car, looking sad and exhausted. Tokisada and Kusetsu think he failed the exam, meaning they'll have to wait for the next one. Just then, they get a call saying Itoki passed the exam and is now officially a student of the Ninja Academy. Later, an NSC rep named Gosho visits Kidu to talk about Satomi. Kidu claims Satomi is no longer part of the clan since she was expelled with the others who were arrested. Because of this, Koga can't be punished for Satomi's crime. As Gosho leaves the Koga building, he receives a call that Satomi has mysteriously died in prison. Soon after, Tokisada takes Kusetsu and Itoki to the train station where they are about to board a secret train headed for a ninja academy. On the train, Itoki has a bunch of questions, but Kusetsu just ignores him. When they arrive at the school, the first person Itoki talks to is a red-headed girl named Ryoko. Their conversation is brief, and she leaves with her friends. Kusetsu can't handle Itoki's cluelessness and decides to leave him to figure things out on his own. Itoki soon runs into 4 guys who seem to be the top dogs at the school. The redhead among them, Suzaku, is the leader, and just when Itoki is about to get in trouble for being ignorant, a girl named Kirei swoops in to stylishly pull him away. Kirei warns Itoki to be careful because the 4 guys are Koga ninjas. They're the big shots of the school, so Itoki should steer clear of trouble with them. Kirei extends her hand for a shake, and Itoki accepts, marking the start of their friendship. Not long after that, the school principal welcomes the new students. When it's time for lunch, Kirei informs Itoki that they can't eat whatever they want, unlike the Koga ninjas. Others just get a little bit of food, but they can't complain about it. Suddenly, Suzaku spots Itoki and stands up to challenge him. Suzaku tells Itoki that Iga is responsible for the death of their former leader, and because of this, Koga won't rest until Iga is wiped out. Afterward, Kirei leads Itoki and Kusetsu to the dorm. They walk past a modern dorm, but Kirei tells them that's not theirs. The dorm actually belongs to Koga, and when they reach the dorm where they'll be staying, it's just an old, rickety building. Itoki heads to his room, but not long after, Kusetsu comes in to talk to him. She knows Itoki is worried about Suzaku's accusations, but Kusetsu reassures him that Iga didn't kill Koga's chief. Kusetsu suggests that Itoki focus on training instead of stressing over an unfounded accusation. Itoki takes her advice to heart and thanks Kusetsu for being smart. Next, the students gather for their first training session. They're going to use ninja suits powered by ninja cores. It'll be Itoki's first time hearing about this, let alone wearing one. The students are required to run to the tower where the principal is enjoying a mountain of manju balls. Each student must reach the tower, grab a manju ball, and run back to the starting point. Once the test starts, the other students take off like cars. Itoki can't even move from his spot since he's not used to the ninja suit. Luckily for him, Ryoko shows up and seems to know her tech. She starts rambling about the technology behind the suit. She talks so much that Itoki nearly dies of boredom. Ryoko checks out the suit, makes some adjustments, and explains to Itoki how to use it. With her help, Itoki figures out how to move in the suit. Ryoko stays by his side, telling him that the ninja core powers the suit, so he needs to be careful not to damage it. She then shares that she's from Saiga village, known for making ninja tools. In fact, they produce these tools, which is why Ryoko knows a thing or two about ninja gear. Meanwhile, Suzaku has made it to the top of the tower and has taken a manju ball. Kusetsu is the next next to grab one. More students start arriving to pick their own balls. On the other hand, Ryoko and Itoki are still trying to reach the tower. Kirei is heading back to the starting point but gets ambushed by Koga ninjas, who steal her manju ball. Noticing something's off, Itoki tells Ryoko to head to the tower without him. He finds Kirei under a tree, but her suit is no longer working because her ninja core is destroyed. Itoki wants to report it to the principal, but Kirei says it's pointless since there's no proof of when she was attacked and robbed. After leaving Kirei, Itoki comes across Koga boys bullying another kid. Itoki stands up to them, leading to a fight. Even though he's outnumbered, he refuses to back down. He charges at one of the bullies, grabbing him around the waist, but gets thrown to the ground. Just as they're about to seriously hurt him, the principal shows up and breaks up the fight. After the bullies leave, Itoki finds Kirei and gives her a manju ball he snagged from one of the bullies. The bully realizes what happened and is regretting it. Itoki helps Kirei up but then hands her off to Ryoko to take her back to the starting point. He makes it to the tower only to find just one ball left. Just as he's about to grab it, the principal takes the last ball and eats it. After the test, Itoki soon finds himself surrounded by Ryoko, Kirei, and Kusetsu, who are considered his allies. Meanwhile, Tokisada has been ordered to infiltrate Koga to find out what's going on there. Up next, a new agent, Shione, resumes work at the NSC. She's the clumsy but dedicated type. Shione will be working under Gosho, and their task is to investigate Iga. Shione's first job is to follow Tokisada to find out what he knows. Tokisada is an elite ninja, known as a demi-divine being. Meanwhile, Itoki and his classmates are getting ready for an exam. Instead of studying, Kirei tells the group they can steal the exam questions from the teacher's safe in her office. However, if the teacher catches them, they automatically fail. Ryoko shares her dream of becoming a ninja with Itoki, but her father is against it. It took a lot of convincing just to let her attend the academy. Yet, her father plans to pull her away from the ninja life once she finishes school. He only wants her to live like a regular girl. Ryoko has always loved ninja tools, but she has no choice but to obey her father. That night, Itoki asks Kusetsu why she or Tokisada weren't chosen as the next successor for the chieftaincy. Kusetsu explains that ninjas don't play with bloodline heritage. Meanwhile, Tokisada meets with Saiga to discuss business. Saiga is struggling because their main buyers, Koga, are taking their business overseas. However, Koga offers to help Saiga stay afloat. Saiga needs to assist them in developing a piece of tech, but due to professional obligations, he can't disclose what it is. Saiga isn't even interested in continuing the whole tools making thing. He wants to end that and hopefully continue the bloodline with his beloved daughter. To prepare for the exam, two guys offer to join Itoki and his team in stealing the answers. On the night of the heist, Itoki and Ryoko reach the door. With a mini surveillance drone shaped like a shuriken, they scout the office to find out where the key is. But the shuriken accidentally hits the door on its way out, alerting the teacher and turning the situation into a chase. Meanwhile, Tokisada breaks into a Koga facility to see what they're up to. Shione follows him, but struggles to keep up with his speed. Kirei and the others manage to distract the teacher so Itoki can grab the key, but when he gets there, the key is missing. In the chaos, Ryoko offers to open the safe with a safe-breaking device she developed. The tool cracks the safe in just 1 minute. Once they have the exam answers, Itoki tells his team to withdraw. Meanwhile, Tokisada successfully breaks into the Koga safe using a forgotten password. To cover his escape, he leads Shione into a trap, allowing the guards to focus on her while he casually walks out of the building. Shione returns to the office to report her failure, but Gosho doesn't take her off the case. He encourages her to keep going, believing she can handle it. When it's time for the students' exams, Itoki and his team realize they're in big trouble. The answers they stole are not the real ones. It turns out that Suzaku and his group were behind the entire scheme. They had already switched the answers before Itoki and his team arrived. Ryoko is the only one who manages to solve the questions. She's clearly the brightest among them. Meanwhile, Tokisada uses Koga resources to place an order for 1,000 toys from Saiga. He sneaks the order in while at the facility, helping Saiga stay afloat for a while. When Tokisada returns to Saiga to give him one of his cores for repair, Saiga seizes the chance to remind him of Kidu's request from years ago. Apparently, Kidu is searching for a ninja core more powerful than what they currently have. However, Saiga told him it was impossible to develop something like that. When Tokisada gets back to Iga, he informs Yumika that Kidu might be after the secret ninja core hidden within Iga. Supposedly, Iga has a core that surpasses others, but it's sealed away in secret, known only to the Iga chief. Yumika believes Koga is trying to start a war, and that's why they're after the core. Later on, Kusetsu warns Itoki to be careful because they might have a traitor among them. Kusetsu wonders how Suzaku and his team know about the safe they plan to hit, which would only be possible if they had a traitor feeding them information. An autopsy on Satomi's body also reveals a microchip in her brain, the purpose of which is still unknown to the NSC. Up next, the teacher informs the students about the upcoming exam. This exam is considered dangerous, and there have been recorded fatal injuries in past years. Itoki needs to pass this exam since he has already failed 2. Failing this third one might get him expelled. He also has to be cautious because Suzaku and his crew will definitely make their move during the exam. Sure enough, Suzaku walks right past Itoki, threatening to kill him. Gosho explains to Shione why they need to dig deep to uncover whatever motive has Koga riled up before it escalates into all-out war. Meanwhile, Koga is making serious moves, and Kido has instructed his subordinates to use force against the Saiga workers if necessary. Kido also tells Suzaku's father that he considers Suzaku a strong candidate to become the next chief. To prepare for the exam, Ryoko creates a ninja disguise device for Itoki, which changes his appearance to that of someone else once activated. Kusetsu is also set on taking down Suzaku to protect Itoki, following Yumika's orders to the letter. However, Itoki doesn't want anyone to die because of him. He storms out of his dorm to clear his head and runs into the principal, who invites him for tea. Itoki asks if ninjas are truly killers, and the principal responds that ninjas aren't killers, they just do the dirty work to maintain world peace. Apparently, Itoki isn't the first to ask this. Kishin and Itoki's father have asked before, and they both gave the same answer. They don't want to be killers. After talking to the principal, Itoki feels enlightened and thanks the old man for the tea before leaving. The next day, Itoki starts training under Kusetsu, who is tasked with getting him to be part ninja before the exam. Itoki struggles to catch Kusetsu off guard during training, so they write down their attack plans for easier mastery. Once they've studied their strategy, they toss the paper in the trash. Suzaku and his crew get their hands on this attack plan, which makes things easier for them. They are poised to kill Itoki during the exam. On exam day, Itoki and his team are fully prepared. He tells Kusetsu to run if she encounters any problems during the mission because he cares about her and doesn't want her to die. Suzaku's crew has studied the opposition's tactics. As soon as the exam starts, they act according to the enemy's plan, but it turns out to be a trap. Some of Suzaku's men fall into this trap and are neutralized. Itoki also takes this chance to figure out who the traitor is among them. The boy falls to his knees, begging Itoki. It turns out his village was threatened, so he had no choice but to go along with it. As the mission continues, Itoki soon encounters Suzaku, who is using the same disguise as him. Apparently, Suzaku also knows they're being deceived. He's already come up with a counter plan to take out Itoki while Kusetsu is distracted. While Suzaku is with Itoki, his men have surrounded Kusetsu and are trying to take her down. However, Kusetsu is too strong for them to handle. In an attempt to prevent her from escaping, Suzaku's men set off a bomb that brings down the room around them. The explosion grabs the attention of the teachers, who immediately rush to the scene to check on the students. Kusetsu gets trapped under some rubble, and her ninja core is damaged, making it hard for her to move. Meanwhile, Itoki is being chased by Suzaku. Itoki knows he has no chance against him and tries to run away, but Suzaku follows him into the woods. Suzaku tells Itoki that he needs to pay for Kishin's death. Breathless, Itoki responds that Suzaku is the real killer because he's the one chasing him just to kill him. Itoki doesn't believe in hurting people under the guise of revenge, since the pain never ends. Itoki attempts to escape again, but Suzaku is right behind him like a wolf after blood. Suzaku falls into a smoke bomb trap set by Itoki. While Suzaku is battling multiple shurikens, Itoki seizes the chance to get closer. He damages Suzaku's core, leaving his suit unusable. Itoki has the opportunity to take Suzaku down, but he doesn't. He passes out, but before he does, he tells Suzaku that he doesn't like him, yet he doesn't want him to become a killer. Soon after, Itoki wakes up in the infirmary. His friends are by his side, and thankfully, Kusetsu is also alive. She's injured but refuses to leave Itoki's side. Once she realizes he's awake, she passes out. Kirei informs Itoki that the girls swore to wipe out Koga if anything happens to him. Tokisada sneaks into another one of Koga's facilities where he sees them working on Kishin's corpse. He knows Shione is following him, and uses this as an opportunity to show her Koga's dark side. Later, we find out that Itoki is surrounded by traitors because even Kirei is working for Suzaku. Kirei is feeding Suzaku information about everything happening in Itoki's camp. For the summer break, Ryoko and Kirei decide to stay with Itoki in the Iga village. Apparently, Saiga's workshop burned down, and now he has no choice but to accept Koga's offer. Itoki is thrilled to have his friends at his home, but Kirei is secretly conducting research on the village. Within minutes of arriving, Kirei discovers where the weapons are stored. After gathering the intel, she passes it to Suzaku using bird technology. Once he receives the information, Suzaku goes to his father to express his desire to be on the front lines when they attack Iga. His father tries to remind him that Kishin was against violence when he was alive, but Suzaku is already deeply involved in it. His main focus is on how to punish Iga and eliminate them. Shione returns to the agency to tell her boss what she learned at the Koga facility. She suggests investigating Koga instead of pursuing Iga, but Gosho dismisses her idea. Next, Yumika and Itoki visit Reiha's husband, who has been in the hospital for 5 years due to an injury he sustained while on a mission. Yumika has always supported him, blaming herself for what happened. Itoki and his friends go to the service area to run an errand for Yumika. This is when Itoki realizes that all the store owners are actually ninjas. They had kept this a secret from him because he was young. Now that Itoki is older, the ninjas decide to send him on errands. An old woman is the first to ask Itoki for help gathering 100 lively sweet fish. Itoki and his friends head to the stream to catch fish. Ryoko shows up with a mini grenade, but Itoki warns her that using it would leave nothing of the fish. Kusetsu is the first to enter the stream stream to catch fish using her ninja skills. Kirei and Ryoko also use everything they have to catch plenty of fish, while Itoki struggles to catch even one. As Itoki talks to Kirei, she shares about her village, the Fuma village, known as one of the weaker villages. They are essentially freelancers who depend on other villages to survive. It turns out Kirei has been trained from a young age to be deceitful. This tactic helps her get close to Itoki to gather information. Itoki thinks of Kirei as a good friend but doesn't realize she's betraying him whenever she can. After the fishing session, Itoki and his friends help the villagers prepare a meal. The village has been doing this since Itoki's father passed away. They started it to lift Yumika's spirits, and it has turned into a tradition. Tokisada explains all this to Itoki, so he understands the event's significance. After their talk, Itoki discovers that Tokisada has stolen all the roasted fish he was cooking. Meanwhile, Shioni is in the village, sneaking around in camouflage, but Tokisada, an absolute beast, spots her. He goes up to her and offers her a roasted fish to enjoy. The village has nothing to hide, so Shioni can investigate freely. That evening, everyone enjoys the party. Tokisada is the life of the party once he starts drinking. Everyone is glad to have Yumika around because the clan nearly fell apart after Hidetoki's death. It was Yumika's intervention and calm approach that held them together. Tokisada almost went rogue trying to wipe out Koga, but Yumika stopped him. Her actions helped her gain the position of chieftain, even though she isn't a ninja. The villagers are grateful to Yumika, as she's the reason they can all smile. Itoki is really impressed when he hears this. Kirei finds herself in an awkward situation when the villagers thank her for being a good friend to Itoki at school. She nearly loses focus on her mission due to this affection, but manages to suppress her emotions. That night, she contacts Suzaku to update him that everything is peaceful in the village. Later, Gosho tells the principal about his plan to summon the Ninja Grand Council. While the others are at the party, Itoki's mother takes him to her room for a private talk. She shares information about the secret corps and shows him the clan registry. Itoki's name will only be added to the registry once he becomes a true Iga ninja. The next day, everyone learns that the academy is temporarily closing. The NSC is also calling the Grand Council, which will include the leaders of the 13 prominent clans. The last time the council met was 70 years ago, making this gathering quite significant. The Grand Council serves as neutral ground, and all ninja chiefs are expected to attend. Gosho tells his agents to be ready for anything during the meeting. Despite the prohibition of aggression, Gosho advises them to exercise caution. As the chief of Iga village, Yumika must attend the meeting. She soon leaves, escorted by Tokisada and Kozo. The other clan leaders also head to the meeting, and before long, everyone is seated at the table. The tension among the leaders is palpable, almost pushing them to act recklessly before the meeting begins. But Gosho steps in to remind them of their location. Once everyone is present, Gosho prepares to start the meeting. However, they discover that Saiga is now a subsidiary of Koga village. Additionally, Fuma village is also under Koga's influence. The meeting starts, and Gosho outlines the main agenda: Koga breaking the ninja code and conduct. It turns out he has been secretly investigating Koga without his team members knowing. He has already uncovered villages that have vanished due to Koga's influence. However, Gosho needs the other villages to testify against Koga before he can take action. Gosho then urges the village chiefs to share any grievances they have against Koga. Things don't go as planned when none of the village chiefs report anything unusual about Koga. With no one to speak against Koga, Kidu tells Gosho that his accusations seem unfounded. Yumika interjects, reminding Kidu that she hasn't spoken yet. Kidu tries to blame Iga for Kishin's death, but Yumika refutes the allegations. In fact, she comes prepared and presents the evidence she has gathered. Yumika informs the council that Koga is attempting to develop new technology to overpower the other clans. She also states that Iga is willing to destroy its secret ninja corps if it means stopping Koga. This shocks everyone at the meeting, but Yumika insists she doesn't mind making that sacrifice as long as it preserves peace. She further emphasizes that Iga wants no part in violence and just wants to be left alone. Yumika indirectly pleads with Koga to leave them in peace and not take anything from them again. After Yumika's heartfelt speech, one of the village chiefs stands up to testify that Koga has been tormenting them. Immediately, other clan chiefs join in with their testimonies against Koga. They all had things to say before but lacked the courage to voice them. Once Gosho has enough testimonies against Koga, he orders Kidu's arrest. Surprisingly, Kidu agrees to go without resistance. Just then, Genji, the captain of the NSC 2nd Division, enters the room. Genji has substantial evidence pointing to Iga as Kishin's killer. He presents footage from the crime scene. Although the video is blurry, the audio suggests that an Iga core was used by the killer. Since no other villages use that core, Iga is automatically implicated in Kishin's death. Following the precedent set by Gosho with Kidu, Genji orders Yumika's arrest. Tokisada wants to fight back, but Yumika reminds him of their real mission. She urges him to focus on proving their innocence and protecting the clan. Tokisada reluctantly steps aside, and Yumika is taken away. Later that day, Itoki learns about his mother's arrest. Kozo reassures Itoki that his mother will be safe since they are innocent of the charges against them. As the acting chief of the village, Itoki's first action is to mobilize the villagers. Simultaneously, Koga has gathered its people in response to their leader's arrest. Gosho instructs his agents to continue their investigation as they see fit. That night, Gosho Gosho sits in the forensic room to review the footage and wonders why Genji took so long to reveal it. However, he is suddenly attacked by Genji before he can dig deeper. Genji manages to surprise Gosho, giving him the opportunity to eliminate him. To make matters worse, Genji heads to Yumika's cell to inform her that she has been sentenced to death. We get a quick look at Kidu's backstory. He was born weak and frail, but due to his family's heritage and the push to make him a ninja, he went through several experiments that ultimately failed. Kidu was labeled a failure, and shortly after, his baby brother, Kishin, was born. Because of the suffering he endured, Kidu wants to see the end of all ninjas. He believes his life would be better without them. Now, in the present day, Kidu has been released from prison since there's no solid evidence to keep him locked up. Gosho's absence for 72 hours also gives Genji the power to take control of the NSC. Shione is the only one who suspects something is off about all this, but there's not much she can do. Genji even puts her in charge of the first division, thinking she's incompetent. Nevertheless, Shione manages to tell her team to keep investigating based on what Gosho told them before he vanished. Yumika is in her cell when Genji and Kidu come to make her an offer. They want her to give up the Iga Ninja Corps, and in return, her death sentence will be lifted. However, Yumika declines, telling Kidu she isn't ready to hand over something that could disrupt world peace. Kidu and Genji leave frustrated but remind Yumika that she has until the day of her execution to change her mind. When the Iga village learns about the NSC's decision to execute Yumika, they become aggressive, ready to storm the NSC and free their chief. Kozo tries to calm the villagers, reminding them that this would mean declaring war on the NSC. The execution is set for the next day, so they need to act fast. Tokisada suggests that Itoki expel him from the village so he can save Yumika without the blame falling on the village. Just then, Kusetsu grabs Itoki from behind. She holds a knife to his throat and demands that he take her to Yumika so she can save her. Kusetsu had no one when Yumika saved her, so Yumika is like a mother to her. Kusetsu isn't ready to lose the only family she knows. Surprisingly, Itoki orders Tokisada and Kusetsu to go rescue his mother. He won't expel them, so they'll carry out the mission as Iga ninjas. Itoki then tells the other villagers to gather information to prove his mother's innocence. Meanwhile, Koga is making plans to invade Iga. Unexpectedly, Suzaku steps up to be one of the frontline ninjas heading for Iga village. With Tokisada, their biggest fear, no longer in the village, things have become easier for them. Suzaku's father tries to talk him out of the reckless decision he's considering, but Suzaku feels too deep in it already. He thinks he'll be seen as a coward if he backs out now. Not long after this, Kidu gathers the Koga leaders to hear their thoughts on invading Iga. He wants to know if anyone opposes the invasion. Suzaku's father, Ban, stands up to inform Kidu that he is against it. Ban has supporters, which makes his stance more powerful. He believes that the Asura machines they plan to use for the invasion aren't battle-tested, and this could backfire on them. Ban pleads with Kidu to rethink the decision since they have a lot to lose. Surprisingly, Kidu agrees, but before Ban realizes what's happening, Kidu shoots him. Kidu knows Ban is right, but doesn't want anything to weaken his resolve. To prepare for the attack and disguise their movements, Koga spreads fake news about chemical attacks around the city. Some areas get reports of bombings, all to prevent people from leaving their homes. However, those in Iga village quickly see that Koga is using the chaos to launch a large-scale attack. At this point, it's practically war, and Iga must get ready. Itoki, Kirei, and Ryoko are shocked when the living room transforms into a control center. Iga clearly has more tech than they let on. At the village gate, there are defense systems in place to fend off the enemies. Koga sends in a bunch of trucks, but the defense system only manages to take out a few. Some Asura robots latch onto the village outpost, but the ninja in charge of the gate dies heroically, blowing himself and the robots to bits. 21% of Koga's forces are down, but they still have plenty left. Koga's forces are now in the village, but the Iga ninjas are more than ready for them. Meanwhile, Tokisada and Kusetsu have figured out where Yumika is being held. They easily slip past security to reach her. They break her out of prison, but before they can escape, they are surrounded by Genji and other NSC agents lying in wait. On the battlefield, Suzaku receives a call from one of his father's associates, informing him that Ban is dead. He's warned to be careful since he might be a target too. Itoki and her friends are in the control room, keeping an eye on everything happening. They realize that most of Koga's forces are made up of mechanical ninjas called asuras. Each unit consists of 4 mechanical ninjas and a human ninja leading them. Meanwhile, Tokisada creates a smokescreen to give Kusetsu and Yumika the chance to escape while he takes on Genji and his men. Genji orders that Tokisada be eliminated, allowing for extreme force to be used. The people in Iga are trying to hold out until Tokisada gets back, as he's the only one who can instill fear in the enemy. However, Itoki and his friends soon notice that the Asuras are moving cautiously. Itoki senses something's up and tells the Iga ninjas to report anything they notice about the Asuras. To improve the situation, Ryoko demands that one of the mechanical ninjas be brought to her. Before long, Ryoko has an Asura in front of her. She examines it and realizes it runs on unsustainable energy. Given the energy core powering the Asuras, they'll need to keep recharging their batteries. Ryoko knows Koga has a charging station nearby, and they likely used the attack on the gate as a distraction while moving the station through another route. Once they figure this out, they just need to find the charging station. Reiha uses the computer to locate potential charging station sites and comes up with 5 possibilities. Since they can't pull ninjas from the front lines to check the locations, Itoki volunteers to carry out the mission. He wants to be helpful since everyone else is risking their lives for the village. Ryoko also wants to join Itoki on the mission. It turns out the Asuras were created by Saiga, and Ryoko just wants to do something good. Iga has treated her with nothing but kindness, and she wants a chance to repay that. Kirei, on the other hand, apologizes for not being able to go with them. After Itoki and Ryoko head out on their mission, Kirei considers sending a secret text to Suzaku but struggles to do so. The scene shifts to Tokisada, who has taken out all of Genji's men, leaving only Genji. Genji and Tokisada find themselves in a standoff when Shione shows up with NSC agents to arrest Genji. Shione discovered Koga ninjas trying to burn Gosho's dead body, and the ninjas pointed to Genji. Once Genji gets distracted, Tokisada appears behind him and puts him in a chokehold until he passes out. Then, Tokisada walks away without anyone stopping him. Meanwhile, the Koga leaders are starting to panic because the invasion is taking longer than they thought. Kusetsu tries to carry Yumika to safety, but Yumika insists that he take her to Iga. Itoki and Ryoko have managed to find the charging station, but it's guarded by Asuras and ninjas. Ryoko suggests they head back to tell the elders, but Itoki is adamant about destroying it. It's going to be tough, but Itoki wants it done. Luckily, Ryoko brought explosives with her. They just need to place them on the charging system to start a chain reaction that will blow it up. Ryoko also has a device that disables the Asuras for 10 seconds. When Itoki is ready to run to the charging station, Ryoko throws the device at the Asuras to immobilize them. He has 10 seconds to reach the station, but one of Suzaku's guys delays him. Before Itoki can get there, the Asuras reboot, and he gets subdued. Out of nowhere, one of the Asuras grabs the explosives from Itoki. To everyone's surprise, the Asura runs to the charging station and sets the explosives there. Ryoko activates the bomb, and it destroys the entire station. The Asuras are also rendered helpless by the explosion. When the smoke clears, Ryoko rushes to Itoki, relieved to find him safe. However, Itoki is more worried about the Asura that took the explosives. He approaches it and discovers it's Kirei in disguise. Itoki carries Kirei, and they escape from the scene. The Koga leaders are furious about the botched invasion, acting like a bull on steroids. Meanwhile, those in Iga celebrate their victory in stopping Koga. Shione tries to interrogate Genji but gets nothing useful. Once Shione leaves, Genji performs some secret ninja moves that make his eyes turn red. Yumika and Kusetsu return to the village, and just as everyone is happy to see them, Kusetsu suddenly turns rogue. Kusetsu grabs Yumika from behind and holds a knife to her throat. Upon hearing this, Itoki rushes down to the village. Kusetsu demands that Yumika hand over the secret ninja core. She drags Yumika to her room and insists she cooperate or face dire consequences. Yumika is the only one who senses that something is off with Kusetsu. Even after Kusetsu cuts her face, Yumika stays close. Yumika removes Kusetsu's mask to see how hard she is fighting the control. Kusetsu is even biting her own tongue to regain her composure. Yumika hugs Kusetsu, and this show of affection is enough to break the mind control. Kusetsu collapses, and Yumika rests her head on her lap. Suddenly, a knife pierces Yumika's body. Itoki rushes into the room to find Kusetsu standing over Yumika. Kozo enters and quickly subdues Kusetsu, demanding to know why she would do such a thing. All Itoki can do is hold his mother's body and weep in anguish. Koga launched a large-scale invasion when they targeted Iga, and other clans were also attacked. With Yumika now dead, Reiha tells Itoki they need to prepare to appoint him as the new chief. But Itoki isn't in the right mindset to consider his next steps. He's still struggling to accept his mother's death. Meanwhile, Kido has given his subordinates one last chance to eliminate Iga or face dire consequences. Suzaki meets a strange man who warns him to stay hidden or fall into Kido's trap. Shortly after, Itoki is installed as the new chief. However, he feels completely numb and lost. The villagers are furious and want to avenge their fallen chief, with many calling for an attack on Koga. Some even demand the execution of Kusetsu, viewing her as a traitor. Itoki manages to calm them down, saying he'll make a decision after his mother's funeral. Later, Kirei and Ryoko prepare to leave since their vacation has ended. Ryoko plans to attend the funeral, but Kirei doubts she will. It seems Kirei is consumed by guilt. Tokisada is approached by Shione, who seeks his cooperation. She informs him that the academy principal is now head of the NSC, and since no one else can take over, the old man has no choice but to step up. After all, he's the founder. Shione hands Tokisada a report about Koga's dealings, which mentions Kusetsu's name. After Kirei and Ryoko leave, Tokisada takes Itoki to Kusetsu's cell to see her. Itoki finds her tightly bound, and Tokisada claims he's done it to prevent her from harming herself. Tokisada asks Kusetsu to explain what happened. She says all she remembers is a bell ringing in her head, after which everything else is just fragments. Kusetsu demands Tokisada kill her because she feels unworthy of living. Then, Tokisada reveals he knows everything that happened. Apparently, there's a chip inside Kusetsu's head, the same one found in Satomi's. This chip allows mind control, and to top it off, Kusetsu is Kidu's biological daughter. It turns out Kidu had multiple mistresses who bore him children, implanting chips in their head heads and sending them out, hoping other clans would adopt them. He basically used these kids as undercover spies to infiltrate other clans. Yumika and Tokisada knew that Kusetsu was Kidu's daughter, but Yumika adopted her anyway. In fact, Yumika was the one who gave Kusetsu her name. The only thing Tokisada didn't know was the chip in Kusetsu's head. Upon hearing this, Itoki realizes that Kusetsu isn't to blame for what happened. However, Kusetsu still blames herself and wants the death penalty. Tokisada then steps in, reminding Kusetsu that he taught her everything she knows about being a ninja. He knows that Kusetsu didn't kill Yumika. The blade wound on Yumika's body doesn't match Kusetsu's style. Clearly, there's still a traitor among them, and that traitor is the one who killed Yumika. All Itoki can do now is comfort his crying sister, as they both lost their mother. That night, the traitor contacts Kaido to report everything happening in Iga. Kaido is relieved to learn that Itoki is the new chief, feeling confident that there's nothing a child can do to stop him. Meanwhile, Kirei returns home only to find that Koga is about to kill her and her father. Her father, being stubborn, ensures that the bloodline continues. He manages to get his daughter to safety before blowing himself and the Koga assassins up. Ryoko also arrives at her house to discover that her father is missing a hand. It was cut off while working for Koga as punishment for not doing the right thing. On the night of Yumika's burial, Suzaku shows up to pay his respects. He calls Itoki a coward, triggering Itoki's emotions, and a fight breaks out between them. Itoki pushes Suzaku to the ground, expressing how much it hurts that his mother is gone. Even so, Itoki isn't seeking revenge. Suzaku then reveals that his own father was also killed for not aligning with Kidu's views. Itoki expects Suzaku to be angry at Kidu, but it seems Suzaku already believes he has nothing left except serving Kidu. He returns home and fortunately finds a storage device left by his father. He checks the details on it to uncover the truth about Kishin's death. It turns out that Kidu arranged for his brother's death because their views were completely different. This revelation shocks Suzaku, and it could actually help him think more clearly. Later, Iga Village receives a letter from Koga and Kidu demanding they hand over their ninja core or face destruction. This infuriates the Iga people, who suggest going after Koga before they come after them. However, it seems Itoki has something else in mind, and he secretly begs Tokisada to help him with his mission. Shortly after, Itoki gathers his people to announce his decision to hand over the ninja core to Koga. In exchange, Iga will demand independence and autonomy. This doesn't sit well with the villagers, who believe Itoki is simply surrendering to Koga. Itoki isn't prepared to argue and suggests that anyone unwilling to accept his decision is free to leave the village. The villagers are taken aback by this, as they didn't expect Itoki to be so harsh, especially regarding expelling them. Meanwhile, Iga has asked NSC to witness the handover. Koga can take the core, but they can't use it for military purposes. This essentially restricts Koga, as what good is the core if it can't be weaponized? When Kidu hears of this proposition, he decides to take a gamble. He orders a second invasion of Iga, aiming to grab the core before the NSC can intervene. He plans to militarize it and use it to eliminate the NSC. Shioni visits Itoki and Iga to inform him that Kidu has refused to attend peace talks. Before leaving, Itoki consults Shioni about a critical issue. Meanwhile, Kirei visits Saiga's workshop, where she finds Ryuko working hard in her lab. This section of the workshop is the only part that didn't get damaged in the alleged accidental fire. Ryuko is just trying her best to look after herself and her people. As she speaks her mind, tears stream down her face. Kirei becomes emotional and decides to share her thoughts too. She reveals how her father trained her to betray everyone and trust no one. It's ironic that her father, who was meant to be the ultimate traitor, was betrayed and killed by Koga. Kirei confesses to Ryuko that she has been a spy all along, feeding Koga information about Iga. Tears fall as she shares everything she's done, including blaming herself for Yumika's death. Instead of getting angry, Ryuko empathizes with her, telling her she isn't to blame. Ryuko sees Kirei as a good friend and believes Itoki feels the same way. Ryuko then moves closer and hugs Kirei to comfort her. After discovering the video file, Suzaku calls Kidu to inform him. He tells Kidu he's ready to hand over the file as a show of loyalty, wanting only to be included in the attack unit going after Iga in return. Kidu appreciates the gesture and tells Suzaku that he will send someone to collect the file. After that, Suzaku will meet with the assault team that plans to invade Iga. Next, Kozo and some other villagers confront Itoki, demanding his resignation as chief, but Itoki refuses. Since Itoki won't give up his position or fulfill their demands, Kozo and the others start making plans. An assault team soon shows up at Suzaku's door, intent on killing him and recovering the video file. Suzaku anticipated this and was prepared. He takes out the whole team but leaves one alive to inform him when the attack on Iga will happen. Meanwhile, Kirei goes to Iga, hoping to see Itoki, but Tokisada tells her that Itoki is busy. Kirei apologizes for betraying Iga so far, but Tokisada seems to already know this. Kirei is shocked, but Tokisada reassures her that what she has done is minor compared to the real traitor among them. He takes Kirei's message, but informs her that he will have to wait a bit to deliver it because Itoki is currently dealing with personal matters. Ryuoko has also made preparations for the upcoming battle, and it appears Kirei will join in as she cuts her hair. Kozo and his fellow coup plotters surround Itoki's quarters, trying to force him into submission. Kozo plans to take the ninja core so it won't be handed over to Koga. The traitor contacts Kidu to update him on the situation, and Kidu tells them to retrieve the core before before the coup plotters do. The traitor enters Itoki's room, but to their surprise, Kozo is already waiting for them. The traitor is revealed to be Reiha. She tries to fight, but is easily subdued by Kozo, who expresses his deep disappointment that Reiha is the traitor. It turns out the entire coup was a scheme by Kozo and Itoki to draw out the real traitor who killed Yumika. When asked why Reiha betrayed Iga, she claims that Kidu promised to save her husband. To avoid further questioning, Reiha swallows a poisonous pill and kills herself. Kozo finds a handwritten letter left by Itoki. Apparently, Itoki has left the village and is heading to Koga to speak with Kidu, but he wants Kozo and the others to leave before Koga reaches them. Meanwhile, Suzaku has given Tokisada the video file he found. Itoki is equipped with the Iga secret suit and is on his way to Koga to talk to Kidu. He knows that Koga's main forces have already left to invade Iga, making it easier for him to infiltrate Koga. After reading Itoki's letter, Kozo and the others decide to stay and protect Iga instead of fleeing. However, they plan to ensure their survival to uphold the chief's orders. To infiltrate Koga, Tokisada and Kusetsu are with Itoki. Itoki tries to tell the two to leave him alone, but they refuse. Since Itoki has been able to convince Kusetsu that she isn't to blame for their mother's death, she's decided to do what she can to punish those responsible. Koga is waiting until midnight to attack Iga, but unknown to them, Itoki, Tokisada, and Kusetsu are on their way. The moment the trio steps into the building, they are surrounded by ninjas. The defense system activates, and the elders attempt to pull back the assault units sent to Iga. However, Iga has jammed their communications, making it hard for the assault team to reach headquarters for further instructions. A fight breaks out between Itoki's team and the ninjas. Out of nowhere, Kirei and Ryuko show up. Ryuko is prepared this time, and has the Asura disabling device with her. Itoki is surprised to see them, but is also happy. Kirei takes the opportunity to apologize for everything that's happened. Itoki is shocked to learn that Kirei is a spy, but he has nothing to say since Kirei is there to make amends. Kirei and Ryuko hold back to deal with the enemy ninjas, while Itoki, Kusetsu, and Tokisada head inside to meet Kidu. Kido sees the trio approaching and activates an advanced ninja corps he has in his office. Itoki, Kusetsu, and Tokisada soon encounter a group of ninjas trying to stop them from reaching Kidu, but Itoki decides to use the secret ninja suit for the first time. Itoki activates the suit and, in less than a second, takes down all the enemies. However, this takes a huge toll on him. He collapses to his knees, gasping for air. Tokisada drops a smoke bomb to cover them, giving Kusetsu the chance to escape with Itoki. Meanwhile, Ryuko and Kirei have run out of Asura disabling powder, leaving them surrounded by the Asuras. Kusetsu and Itoki also run into two enemies, but Suzaku shows up to help. Suzaku is wielding a new ninja device that lets him use fire. Itoki and Kusetsu finally reach Kidu's office, where he's waiting for them. Itoki tells Kidu he's ready to surrender the suit if Kidu agrees to his conditions. Kidu must not attack other villages and must give up being a ninja. Kidu just laughs off the offer because he easily figures out that Itoki doesn't have the resolve to kill someone. Kido plans to wait for his assault team's return. Itoki then asks Kido why he had to kill his mother. Itoki believes that Kido wants to end all ninjas because he doesn't want anyone else to suffer as he did. Meanwhile, Suzaku is still fighting his enemies. He shares his plan to remake Koga, unlike what Kidu has turned it into. Itoki thinks Kidu is a good person, but Kidu responds to the naive boy, saying he has no conscience, and that the reason he killed Itoki's mother was simply that he wanted to. Kidu wants all the ninjas gone because he finds them annoying. He's not ready to give Itoki the closure he needs about his mother's death. In an attempt to rile Itoki up, Kidu mocks him, and Itoki almost takes the bait. Luckily, Kusetsu is there to keep Itoki in check so that Kidu doesn't turn him into a killer. Itoki and Kusetsu decide to leave since there's nothing else for Itoki to ask the old guy. Unbeknownst to Kidu, Itoki has a video recorder attached to his helmet, broadcasting directly to the NSC. The NSC is poised to burst into the building once they have solid evidence, and with what they've just seen and heard, they have everything they need. The head of the NSC gives the agents the green light to arrest Kidu, and they rush into the building. When Kidu realizes what's happening, he activates the advanced ninja corps. Armed with a gun, he aims it at Itoki and fires, but Kusetsu jumps in to save her brother. Kusetsu gets knocked down, and Kidu shifts his focus back to Itoki. He tries to shoot him, but Itoki dodges the shots, thanks to his suit, turning it into a fistfight between the two advanced ninjas. Despite Kidu's advanced tech, Iga's ninja suit prevails. It boosts Itoki's strength, allowing him to punch Kidu through the roof. Suzaku also manages to defeat his enemies, but is injured from the battle. Kido sits on the ground, defeated, but he doesn't show any regret. Itoki holds a sword to the old man, but doesn't care. Itoki chastises him for blaming his terrible choices on his family, pointing out that he had the power to change his fate, but chose not to. Itoki leaves Kidu on the floor, carrying Kusetsu. Just as he's about to walk away, Kidu grabs the gun and points it at the unsuspecting Itoki. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, Tokisada shows up. Tokisada gets hit, but also stabs Kidu with his knife, Half of Tokisada's suit gets torn, but he survives. Shione walks in to see Tokisada pulling his knife out of the old man. Tokisada tells Shione to label him as Kido's killer. Itoki doesn't agree, but Tokisada insists they have no choice. He believes Itoki is no longer a kid and doesn't need babysitting anymore. Tokisada jumps out of the building while Shione marks him as a fugitive. Itoki and his team members manage to survive the invasion. Itoki carries Kusetsu as they leave the building. After everything, Iga and Koga finally get to have a healthy relationship. Ryuko starts a new workshop to continue the Saiga legacy. Meanwhile, Kirei has become an actress. Suzaku has stepped up as the leader of the Koga clan, and everything seems settled. Kusetsu visits her mother's grave to pay her respects before leaving town. In the meantime, Itoki is out there saving kids, making the ninja title proud.